Hey guys! Wow, I am super excited to share with you my experience of being in the dark for 5 nights and 5 days. And wow, what an incredible experience. Like, honestly, I cannot wait to tell you all about it. As you can see, like, I haven't been through a psychosis. Like, I am doing and feeling better than ever. And yeah, just for the people who don't know me, I'm Dr. Jana Reuter, and I'm a mental health coach, hypnotherapist, and cognitive behavioral therapist. And I used to be an ex-consultant working in the business, like high performance business industry in the Silicon Valley, doing my PhD in a very prestigious university, the University of St. Gallen. And then, boom, like some people feel like I've done like a 360 degree of change in my career. However, that's not really the case because there's so many synchronicities and so many, like learnings and experiences I can now use in my daily job, which is like not even my job, it's just like who I am and what I love doing, helping people, being in the mental health space. So I came across the Darkness Retreat, and to be quite frank, the first impression I got from people when I told them about my next challenge, which is not even a challenge, it was just like an inner calling. Like I had this feeling I wanted to like face the dark, my darker side, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, so the experience I made and the feedback I got from people were like, are you insane? Like, this is torture. This is like being in a prison. This is like inhumane. Like, why? Why would you pay for that? And to be honest, I didn't have any support. Well, some support by my parents, but to be quite frank, they were also really skeptical, also a bit afraid. And some of my really close friends were like, don't do it, please, like we want to keep you. And other people were like, please stay the same. It's like, I can guarantee you I'm not gonna be the same. And here we are, I'm recording this here, and probably I wouldn't have done that before, exposing myself and like really talking about my personal journey, like what I have experienced and what the Darkness Retreat really meant for me. And maybe that's also something for you. Maybe you're just interested in what's out there. Maybe you're not there yet, or you will never do it, which is also fine. But yeah, I just wanted to give you some more insights what the Darkness Retreat, being in the dark, is all about, right? So I've written some notes because there's so much to cover, and I really want to give you like in-depth details and insights. And yeah, so I cannot wait to finally start. So what is the Darkness Retreat? Basically, a Darkness Retreat is that you are in a room on your own for a couple of days in the pitch black dark. There is literally no light. You cannot see a thing. You cannot see your own hands, like nothing. Like literally you're one with the dark. And you can actually do that for like 3 days. That's what they normally recommend as a beginner. I did 5 nights and 5 days. Whereas you cannot really distinguish between the days and night anymore. It's just like a period of time, literally. And yes, it's basically a sensory deprivation. So you have no sight. So basically that sense of sight is blocked off, right? I see the darkness as something like being intimate with your unconscious. Because as some of you might know, or like if you've seen that in some of my teachings, is that 5% of what we experience is conscious. That's our conscious mind. And 95% is unconscious, right? And we hardly ever get down there because there is this analytical barrier, which is kind of like a filter, like an immune system, which kind of tries to protect us for survival reasons. However, through hypnotherapy, what I do, or really deep meditation, but I really have to emphasize deep meditation, because most of the people meditating today, like they don't even get into alpha brainwaves. Like I really talk about, going from beta brainwaves, which we are in right now, into alpha, if not theta, or even gamma. So that's like more where the monks are, like hanging out all the time. So this is basically what the darkness retreat is all about. I don't know why they call it retreat, probably kind of to give you like more closeness to what it is, because people kind of, know what a retreat is like, but a retreat is more like a pampering thing, like doing some yoga and meditation and getting massages and doing Ayurveda and I don't know what. But that's not like it at all. So why to do a darkness retreat? Or why to sit in the dark? Well, there is several reasons for it. Like some of the people I got to know, they do it for like really deep meditation, for really deep restoration, like basically kind of resetting the nervous system, doing like some really profound stress reduction, because you can literally kind of shut out all this like sensory overload we get every now and then on a daily basis. And other people do it for self-discovery, basically just to, to kind of discover what's actually going on here. I'm not sure if you're like more into the spiritual side or more like on the business side. However, so it's more like a soul exploration, like who are you really? Like if you're not your body, if you're not your mind, like who are you, to kind of get more insights, what's underneath, right? And then there's other people, they do it for enhanced creativity, because you can literally tap into, let me think, I think it's your right brain, which is the creative side, which we hardly ever access nowadays because it's all in the left-hand one. You're constantly being in the doing. And yeah, then in general, it's all about like a deeper connection to yourself, like spiritual growth, maybe more connection with the universe, more connection with other human beings, or you name it, right? So in my case, how I came across was I was doing Vipassana, a 10-day silent retreat here in South Africa, where you literally sit down every day for 10 hours and you meditate for 10 days, literally 100 hours in a row. You live like a monk, like you get up in the morning at 4, like you kind of like food deprived, you're sleep deprived because you're not getting a lot of sleep, not a lot of food either. And so I did that just in December, and I'm actually going to do another video on that to also share my experience here, because it was really profound and really liberating, and I think sometimes words cannot even explain what I experienced there and who I turned out to be afterwards. So anyways, the Vipassana, the silent retreat, is really pretty much in the masculine. So it's all about the doing. Like you have a schedule, they tell you when to meditate here, when to meditate there, when you get your food, and you have to follow the rules. There's like so many rules. I can't even imagine, like a lot of rules. It's like Singaporean, like Singapore rules. And so it's super in the masculine, in the doing. And the darkness on the other side is in the being. It's like really soft, it's really gentle. It's like, there's like no rules at all. There's no schedule. There's like not even like a concept of time. There's like just free flow. Like you are simply in the being. So I was like, wow. I came across a podcast by DG Derek Grant, and he talked about his experience in doing the 5-day, 5-night darkness retreat in the States. And I was fascinated by it. I was like, oh my word, I really want to do it. And then I started investigating more, and I found Marcus. He has done that. He actually literally recorded the whole thing. I wanted to do it as well. I actually wanted to go to see a neurologist to really measure my brain waves, to do brain scans before and after, Couldn't find one because they're like, everyone is so busy. All these machines are taken all the time. Damn it. And well, I took my bloods because I wanted to see what kind of difference I will experience while I go through that retreat. So I'm still waiting for my blood result from the second time. And yeah, I also wanted to record it with my Oura ring. However, I don't know why, but it didn't charge. It's really weird. There was something like I wasn't supposed to do it in that scientific way. Anyway, so how I came across it, I listened to a podcast. You know, the one by DJ Grant, which is The Pathway to Results. I can only recommend it. And I was like, okay, it is a hell yes. It did take some time to really like take that decision, to make the payment and to book it, especially because there was literally no one really supporting me. But then I was like, fuck yes. I mean, like, honestly, what's the matter? Like, I'm sitting in a room and I can turn on the light whenever I want to go. The door is open. I can always leave. Like, why being scared, you know? Like, or why not doing it if it has such a profound, promising, like, change, you know? Or like, I mean, I went there without expectations, I have to say. I was kind of like having some thoughts what I would like to explore or like where I would like to deep dive a bit further into. But then I was like, just let it go. My psyche or my body or my soul or whatever, my mind is gonna bring up what I'm supposed to work on. Like, I mean, if we look at our bodies, how intelligent our body even is and our brain, like this is like, we cannot even explain it. Like, we hardly know what is actually happening like in that mind here, right? So, okay, so why did I want to do it? Well, I wanted to know myself better. I've explored so many different modalities of dropping more into my unconscious, because I know that's where the holy grail sits of, you know, understanding Dr. Jana Reuter. Like me, I don't care about you, but I really wanted to understand myself. Because if I don't get myself, if I don't really know how it will work, if I don't really understand how my mind and my body are working together and like how I can better control my own emotions and my own like feelings and behaviors and actions, I think I will have a problem. And I did experience that problem like so many times. So I was like, okay, let's go there. So it was really about knowing myself, having more self-awareness. And then the second one was all about detachment. Really getting into that form of having no limitations, like really getting out of my limitations, getting out of my old narratives, the ones which do not work for me anymore, which keep me stuck and I can actually feel it. And also by not being defined by anything, you know, like I don't, like just getting into this realm of not having to do anything, not having to prove my worth, not having to work for any kind of external validation or acceptance, but just being me, like me from the source, from the pure essence, how I was born, you know, literally like being a baby again. And this is like what I see the darkness. It's literally going back to the womb of your mom, being so safe and protected in the dark. We literally don't have to do anything. You're just in the moment, like you're just in the now, in the present. And yeah, like you don't have to follow anything, you don't have to do anything if you don't feel like it. And then the third one was all about trusting myself, trusting my own intuition, trusting my own thoughts, trusting myself and having more confidence and building up more confidence in myself and having a stronger connection through trust in myself. So why are people so afraid? As I said before, 99% of people, and that 1% are the crazy friends I have, and they just like don't think through, said like, Jana, you have gone mad. Have I? I don't know. I'm reading the myth of normal. So what is normal nowadays? Honestly, I don't even know. People are so afraid because they're afraid of themselves. I mean, I have to tell you, it is not for everyone, because if you cannot face yourself, if you cannot face your own shit, don't get in there. Honestly, it's gonna be quite tough. And yeah, so I think this is like the predominant cause why people in general I talk to, like closer friends, more like acquaintances, why they literally were really terrified when I told them that, because they were literally reflecting their own fears onto me. I cannot judge them for that. Probably would have done the same. I mean, it sounds quite scary, but if you look at it from a logical perspective, like simplistic, no meaning attached, you literally are in the dark. It's a room where there's no light, there's a bed, and you can sleep, and I'm gonna get into the logistics just in a moment, but that's it. There's nothing else. Like, what is the scary part? Honestly, what is the scary part? Well, then I did investigate a little bit, and I mean, if you look into what we get indoctrinated about the dark, it gives some explanation. I mean, everything we get ever told about the dark it is evil. All the horror movies are in the dark. It kind of has a attachment to no control, of crime, of the evil, of the hardships, the tough times, right? And the big one is it's not about the doing. In our society, in capitalism, what we experience here, not doing is your death. Honestly, there is no such a thing. Like, if you are in the being only, you're like one of these spiritual guides or guys who are the lost souls in Bali, right? No, but the being is actually our true nature. Boom, like quotation mark, that's it. And yeah, but to be honest, in terms of self-development, if you really look into it, everything what it's out there, like yoga, breathwork, meditation, in that sense, it's all in the masculine. It's all about the doing. It's not about being at all. So I'm not surprised. And on the other side, science has proven that without pain, we won't change. Without facing our own issues, there's not going to be a change. And that's the very reason why we often have to hit rock bottom to finally make a change, because you actually go through the tough times, the dark side, to make a change, right? So if you really want to work with you, if you really want to get to know yourself, then the dark is like, it's like a catapult. It's your springboard. It makes it so much easier. So you can actually quantum leap. You don't have to do like years of meditation and yoga and you get literally nowhere, right? No judgment. So that's the reason I came up with why people are afraid of the dark. If you have other reasons, please comment below. So let's give you an overview of the setup. I love that. Honestly, I love that episode already. It's like really from my heart. So 5 nights, 5 days. I flew to Johannesburg, arrived there at 6 p.m. and then I went into it, and then I got out a couple of days later in the morning just before sunrise, so the eyes could adjust. So as I mentioned in the beginning, normally if you are not really experienced with like facing yourself, being alone with yourself, they don't really allow you to do more than 3 days. However, 3 days don't do much. Like honestly, like after day 3 I was like, wow, if you're only sitting here for 3 nights and 3 days, this is doing literally nothing. It's similar to fasting, and I'm getting into fasting as well. Like if you only fast for 3 days, your body is getting into this fasting crisis to changing the system from glucose to ketose. So the actual effect is cut off. So no point in doing it. However, because of safety issues, yeah, a lot of people recommend 3 days, 3 nights, 5, and then more experienced 10, 2 weeks. I mean, some monks are staying in there for a month, and yes, it's possible, and you're not gonna die. Maybe you die, but then, anyways, so I flew to Johannesburg. There is other darkness retreats in the most famous one, according to social media, is Sky Caves in where is it? In the US. There's one in Guatemala where they also host like groups, and also in Thailand. There's a famous one in Germany, and yeah. As I'm here in South Africa, I flew to the one in Joburg. And so logistically, it's pitch black dark. So there's literally no light. Like I'm telling you, there is no light at all. Like every time when I was plugging in my charger for my Aura Ring, I could actually see electricity coming out of the plug, and I was like, wow! Or when I was like turning down that extra kind of wallpaper to kind of like, you know, give me full on darkness, I could see how the ripping of the thing created electricity, and like how the sparkles were traveling down. It was like, wow, that was scary. So it's pitch black dark. There is a fresh air ventilation thingy. So there's like fresh air coming in from the outside. So you always have fresh air, which is the best. Honestly, I really miss that, to sleep with fresh air without having your window open. There is a fan, which is also kind of giving you some like, you know, some cooling. What else? There is a tube where your food gets delivered. However, spoiler, I did fasting. I did a water fast. So I only got the soup, which was quite yummy. So basically the facilitator kind of puts the food through the tube outside and then into the box, and you can open that box from the inside. Just have to write something down, which I wanted to share with you. Just had a thought. And yeah, I could warm up my soup. There was like a tool to kind of like warm it up. I had a hot water bottle because I wanted it for my fasting, for like my liver cleanse. And what else? There was a table, obviously, where I could write stuff down. So there's a special technique where you literally put your fingers and you write, and you kind of know when to kind of, you know, like get into the next line and turn the page. And I had a bathtub. Oh my god, that was heaven. Like that facilitator there has 2 rooms, and one is with a bathtub and the other one is with a shower. I was so lucky with my bathtub. That was like literally heaven. And that was also kind of like my mechanism of making me more tired, because at some point like my energy level kind of grew over time, and then I wasn't tired enough to properly sleep. That's what I thought. So I thought, okay, let's hop into the bathtub to make it really warm. I had some lavender to help me to fall asleep. Spoiler, didn't work. But yeah, it was fun. Also like having a shower in the dark, so much fun. What else is in there? There's like a place where you can do yoga, like a meditation cushion. And let me think through it. There's a bed. That's it. I could cook, I could boil my tea. I had a hot water bottle, which was a bit of a challenge because I was like, I don't want to boil myself, but I managed. Yeah, so pretty much this is about the logistics. And now I really wanted to share with you my experience, like what I've been through. And well, I mean, from the very start, as I said, I was telling one what I was about to do, and everyone literally called me insane. In particular, when I said, well, I'm also going to do fasting. And people are like so afraid of themselves. Like, you're not going to die if you're not going to eat for 5 days. Like, normally I do a 7-day water fast every year. And it's the best ever because your system, your intestines, your colon, your stomach, like all the little cells can reset themselves. By the way, I'm going to do a fasting program starting in April, where I really want to take you on that journey of, like having a group together to give you some accountability. And we go through that fasting journey to really kind of reset your system. You will be able to drop a lot of weight. And I'm not talking about any kind of muscles. Like, I remained all my muscles. I think I dropped 2 kilos and it's gone. It's not gonna come back. I don't do it for like weight loss purposes, but in case you feel like, all right, I should drop some weight, especially after Easter, this one is for you. I'm gonna drop you a link below to give you all the details. It's so powerful just to kind of like help your system to reset itself. And honestly, just having this feeling of being lean, of not being bloated, of being like fully in tune with your own body. I don't know how much money I would pay for that feeling, honestly. So stay tuned. You can already sign up then for the course. There's a special discount if you sign up in the next 2 weeks. And I honestly can't wait. Like, I didn't know how much knowledge I have about fasting. How you prepare it, how you run it through, how you also do the integration afterwards. But as I tried a lot of different diets, a lot of different fasting methods, that one, the water fast, is the best. So stay tuned. Back to my experience. I flew into Joburg. That was on Friday last week. Oh God, today's Sunday. Like, honestly, it was like Friday, not this Friday, last week. And I had mixed feelings. I was excited. I was quite excited. I was like, flying is my happy place anyway. Like, woo! Honestly, I told the Uber driver, who is actually policeman in Kalita, like one of the most criminal townships here in Cape Town. And I told him, well, I'm going to go into the dark. And he was like, what? Like, what? Yeah, these Western rich people, that's what they do. Like, they're paid to get imprisoned, not to eat. It was a bit ridiculous. However, so I flew in. I had mixed feelings. I was excited, but at the same time, there was this inner nervousness where I felt like, whew, what I'm getting into it. It's kind of like, I don't know if you know, but your brain cannot distinguish between excitement and nervousness. It's the same feeling, and that's what I experienced. I was like switching in between. I was like, oh my God, like it's happening, like woof. But at the same time, I was like, don't be too excited. It's not gonna be the easiest, right? So I arrived there at 6 p.m. I got picked up actually by the facilitator, JJ. She's like a super amazing woman. And on the premise, which is, thanks God, it's an estate, because I was like, okay, so basically when you're in the room, you can always turn on the light. However, and the door is open, so you can always open the door and literally leave. However, you shouldn't, because at some point your eyes cannot just catch the light anymore, because it's really damaging for your eyes when you like simply switch on the light. I mean, sometimes you know that when you're in blackness or like in the dark, and then you switch on light and you're like, whoa, like you're flashed. That's a problem. And the second one, I was like, I'm in South Africa. I don't want to have my door open. I literally don't want to have my door open because, I don't know, I want to be safe, you know? It's not the safest place on earth. So, fun fact. But, well, it's an estate, so it's pretty safe. Yeah, so she showed me around. She showed me, like, the facility. And then she left. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, don't be too hard on yourself. Like, maybe just settle in, put your clothes into the box. Like, you really have to remember where the stuff is, because you can literally not see it. And I'm telling you, I lost my sleeping mask. And now you're probably surprised why I even had a sleeping mask, but I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to like, put my arms down on the floor and like, I don't know what I'm gonna feel. And I don't know how many times when I was like eating my soup and like my pepper and salt, like something fell on the floor and I was like, oh no, like no. Even my water bottle. So there was like an electric water bottle, and oh yeah, another big thing, but it's like a South African thing, is that we have the load shedding, whereas the government is turning off the electricity every now and then during the day. However, my room was powered by solar panels, so I was good. So I had this water bottle which you could literally put into like a plug, and that was the problem. Like finding that right kind of angle, how to put it in. I was so close to give up so many times because I was so weak and I couldn't properly like stand up anymore. I was like, fuck that, like I don't give a shit about my water bottle anymore. But like you really don't know how to put it, and you have to like feel and touch and try it out, and probably that took me an hour. I have no idea. I guess it took me an hour. Yeah, but back to my arrival. So I arrived there, I was like, Jana, everyone always tells you, like, don't be too hard on yourself. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna brush my teeth in the light. I'm gonna take a shower in the light, and then I'm gonna go to bed, gonna turn off the lights, and then the next day I'm just gonna wake up and it starts. Like, I wanted to flow in. Yeah. I looked into the light, and I could hear a mosquito, and I could see a gazillion mosquitoes, and I was like, no fucking way. I have to kill them all. I have to kill something in that room where there's supposed to be peace and harmony. It took me 2 hours to really kill all the mosquitoes, because I was like, if I'm gonna sit in the dark and there's gonna be a mosquito biting me and I cannot kill it because I cannot see it, this is gonna be my worst nightmare ever, and I'm literally gonna be eaten by this vampire. Like, no. And it was kind of like ridiculous. It was because I had to literally look into that light to see that the mosquitoes are actually flying towards the light, then to kill it. And I was like, I don't want to look into the light for like over an hour. Like, no, it took me more than 2 hours to then be in the dark because I was literally kind of blinded already by it. But these mosquitoes, there were so many. I was like, fucked up. I managed. Spoiler again, I literally killed all of them. God gracious, I did kill all of them, but in peace. I was like, this is my room. I paid for it. Like, you're not a citizen in here. And then I went to bed. And then the journey started. Wow. It just started. It was in flow. So basically, I would describe that experience in different phases. And I want to get into these phases separately. The first phase, I would say, was a very deep operation of the physical. Then the phase 2 was on the mental level. The phase 3 was biological. And phase 4 was more like emotional. So we actually have different bodies, right? If you're not aware of that, or if you haven't heard about that, we have different bodies, not just the physical one. We have the mental one, the emotional one, the biological one. Yeah, and then the last phase is basically the integration part, which is, it seems to be the shortest now, but this is the longest, where you literally integrate what you experience in like during these 5 nights. So it's more like a manifestation of the change. So let's talk about the physical. I was knocked out. I think I was literally in a coma, honestly. I slept for 2.5 days in a row. I just slept. And you have to think about it. What we describe as humans as a sickness, or, like being sick, is basically when our body is fighting something which doesn't belong into our system. And then basically this whole machine here is getting turned off or down to be able to put all the energy into that combat, into that world war, right? World war of your body. However, in that case, I wasn't sick, but I felt sick. So what actually happened in that phase was I was running through the deepest ever reset of my cells. Like very much, like very deep operation of my cells, of my DNA. So I was literally going through an upgrade of my DNA. And it was much worse than COVID, like from that perspective. Like my limbs started to hurt. I was in pain in that way. And remember that because 21, I went to an alkaline fasting. Telling you, I've done all the fasting, so I can call myself an expert. And when I did that the first time, which was literally detoxifying my whole body, I was having a fever. Like my body produced a fever to get rid of all the toxins I've saved up for more than 30 years. And exactly that feeling I had again, where my limbs started to like be super painful, and my joints were like really painful. And yeah, so that's what I experienced. And while I was kind of knocked out, I was still in the meditative state. At first I was a bit angry about myself because I was like, shit, Jana, you're here to meditate, to get the download, to do all the mental work and to figure out your shit. And I was like, I didn't have the power. It's like, just give in. Like, you're here and whatever is supposed to happen, it will happen. Like, don't force anything. That's what the darkness is about. It's feminine, it's soft, it's gentle. In the end, even though I thought I did not meditate that much or at all, I did, because I was in that state the whole time. Because if it is dark and there's no light, your brain cannot distinguish between the awake state and like a REM state or like a deep sleep state. You're basically kind of shifting in the lower ones anyways. You're not awake. You're not awake. I was asleep. I don't know, I was like in a coma. That's what it felt. I was literally in a coma. Yeah, so I actually really wanted to, I'm so curious like what my O-ring would have said, but sorry guys, hasn't recorded. I let it go. One of my big learnings, detach. I don't give a shit about the outcome. Whatever happened was supposed to happen. So I was literally knocked out. And then what was really interesting was I could hear what was going on around me. I mean, the room was not totally like noise proofed. So I could hear a dog barking, some ducks or goose like screaming, or like I could hear the birds. And that actually made me think a lot about my childhood. So there was someone mowing the lawn, like using a lawn mower, and that reminded me so much of my dad. Like every Saturday morning when he was like making this noise, and I was like, when I was a teenager, I was like, why Dad? Like, please be quiet. I just want to sleep. Or like just the dog. It reminded me so much of my dog who died a couple of years ago. And I was like, wow, all these memories were popping back. And it was like some really nice ones, some which were really like not sad, but it was like nice memories. And then I was missing them. Yeah, what else? Sometimes I managed to go to the bathtub, but not for long because I was literally so weak. I mean, I wasn't eating, right? So, and I know from the past that normally like your body is quite weak until day 4 when you do the proper change, and you kind of, like overcome the fasting crisis. And I was really weak. However, so in that phase, in that physical one, I've done like the deepest reset of my own cells, like a DNA upgrade. And from my work as a hypnotherapist, working with the subconscious, or unconscious better said, I do a lot of command cell therapy. So I work with people doing kind of getting rid of autoimmune diseases or getting rid of pain or whatever. So we go really deep into the cells to give them an upgrade. It's epigenetics. And that's what I've experienced in there. And I experienced that whole thing as a sickness. And then the awakened beauty woke up on day 2.5. And then the mental phase started. So I did focus a lot on self-acceptance, on confidence. I went through so many different scenarios of my teenage age, of my childhood, where I couldn't stand up for myself, where I was that people pleaser, where I was like trying to belong and fit in and to kind of, having that feeling of acceptance, of external validation. So I went through a lot of scenarios, but also recent ones, where I didn't act in a way I truly wanted to act from within. So because at that point, maybe I wasn't strong enough, maybe I didn't believe enough in myself, maybe I didn't trust my own abilities, my own skills enough. So I went through these scenes. In hypnotherapy, you call it regression. You literally go back to certain scenes where something has happened for the first time, or where something happened like on a very deep level, and you literally rewire that narrative, you rewrite that story. And I did that. And it was even like, I was standing up, I was just like telling other people what other shit they're telling me, and like I was setting my boundaries. I was kind of manifesting so much confidence and trust and self-love and self-acceptance you cannot even imagine. It was so powerful. That's what I went through it. So I changed my autopilot. I changed that narrative, which didn't help me. And it was so deep, in particular on a trust level, and felt so empowering. And I was also detaching from any kind of outcome, because I was literally not giving a shit about what other people think about me, what other people say about me, what other people want me to do. I was literally myself, but from within, right? So that was that stage. By the way, if you feel like you want to work with your unconscious, you feel like you're stuck on certain levels, you feel like there's limitations, and whatever you do, you keep on repeating your pattern, you keep on repeating your thoughts, and it's not getting better, you feel even worse. Maybe you tried like a lot of different modalities as well and nothing really helps. Reach out, because I can literally help you with my approach, which I learned by or through Marissa Peer, like the well-known hypnotherapist. I was so lucky that I was able to run through that really thorough training. And yeah, so I'm gonna let you know a little bit more later what that is all about, what you can achieve. But it's so powerful. So basically it's like a first step in, because whatever I'm telling you now, I've done a lot of work. That's why I'm saying it's not for everyone, but I've done the preparation work. I was ready for it. And if you feel like you just want to go one step by one step, like one little step further of liberating yourself, of knowing yourself, of freeing yourself, whatever, reach out. My Next Level Now program will give you instant change without any pain. So, phase 3, the biological one. Oh my God, I woke up, that was on night 4, and I was having cramps, stomach cramps, or intestine cramps, or colon cramps, I don't know. And I was like, fuck, I have to go to the toilet. And I was sitting on that toilet, I don't know for how long, but these cramps didn't pass. And until I realized, after I had like a DMT, I had a DMT experience. Like normally on day 5, they say that your body releases its own DMT. DMT is like the same as in ayahuasca, right? So all of a sudden I saw these visuals. It was all green and I was like, no, like please not now. Like I just want to do my business. It was hilarious. I could see all these like visuals everywhere in the toilet, in the bathroom. Anyways, I cleansed myself, and that was that phase about. It was literally cleansing, getting rid of all the shit. I could literally smell my pee. Sorry for my language here, but I mean, your senses are so heightened. I could smell my pee was full of toxins. I literally could. And I also smelled that I should drink much more water, as I do now. And yeah, I was just detoxing my body for hours. And then the next phase, that was the emotional one. The biggest insights ever. I've never gone down so deep in getting the most profound insights of some stuff I've been working on for years now, and I was suffering so much. And I was literally sitting on my bed thinking about, fuck, so what is that really about? I mean, as I said, like 3 days, so was I on day 4. 3 days is not enough, and like, what did I really get out of here? Is it not working? Like, maybe I shouldn't have done the fasting because it's not really helping. And I was like, what should I do? I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to sit in bed. But I had like much more energy. So I was like, okay, let's just sit in bed. And fuck, it hit me. It was literally like, I saw some lights. And guys, I know I'm not enlightened, right? But I saw lights everywhere. And then I had the deepest insights ever. Like, seriously. And I can tell you why that's the truth, in a way that I went through certain, so I had visions, I had like past experiences showing up again, and there was so much emotionally charged. I literally started crying. And if I would talk about it now, what it was, I wouldn't cry because it's processed. So literally there was this download where all of a sudden that scene came up. I went through that scene, I worked through that issue I was like really wanted to target for such a long time, and it made so much sense. I could finally understand why it happened that way, and what interpretation, what narrative, what story I was making up, because that was the best option I've had at that point in time. And I couldn't actually, I didn't have any other option, I didn't have any other solution, there was no other explanation for it. But today I know better. However, that old narrative, I got stuck on that. Literally, like, my operating system was never upgraded on it, and I couldn't access it because it was like kind of locked up. It was like a bunker, you know, like I kept it pretty much as my secret, as my safe, and I could finally access it. That happened there. And I must say, most people are in particular afraid of that phase, because you really get into your childhood shit, you get into your dark side, you get into your shadow side, you get into the real problems, not just doing talk therapy and like scratching on the surface. No, like you really go down and you get into the emotion. And that's the thing, like you really feel it, and you have to feel it, you have to go through it, you have to go through your emotion to let them go, to reset your system, because it's literally anchored in your nervous system. Because what happens if something traumatic happens to you? You're shocked. Sometimes you don't even feel, but it is an energy. Where does that energy go? From physics, we know that energy cannot be deleted. So it's somewhere stuck in your system. It is stuck in your cells. And I mean, if you think about it, and as you know me, I'm quite scientific. If we can clone one human with one cell, all the information about you has to be in that cell. All the trauma you have experienced, all that DNA differentiation, or like the DNA change, it sits in that one cell. So it's really on the deepest level, like micro level, nano level, I don't even know. So that's what I experienced. And however, your psyche is not stupid. Your psyche only reveals what you're really ready to work on. So I know a lot of people out there taking psychedelics now, and then they have these bad trips because they're stuck in a tunnel. But why? Because the psyche is actually not ready, but you're using these mind-enhancing substances to get somewhere. You're not able to handle that situation yet. So I'm not surprised. But if you just sit with yourself, your psyche is not going to release certain things you're not ready to process yet, because of survival reasons. Like, why would it do it? Like, as I said, our body, our psyche, everything is so intelligent. Like, it's so intelligent, like it would never do that. So this is a misconception. Yeah, so that's what I experienced in that phase. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to my new channel. I'm so excited to talk more about whatever I experienced. Honestly, I have so many stories. The next video is going to be the Vipassana. So stay tuned, subscribe, and I can't believe I've been talking already for 50 minutes. Oh my word. So, I'm gonna keep it short now. Overall, yes, I often felt very disoriented in that room, in particular when I was about to find the toilet. Very irritating. So the best advice is, if you need to go to the toilet, that's already too late. Go to the toilet when you don't have to, because you never know if you actually hit the toilet. I've heard some stories where people are also like peeing on a toilet seat. You always have to check if the toilet seat is open, right? But it hasn't happened to me. I was very low on energy. I literally, I hardly moved, like not even an inch. Sometimes, so the facilitator was bringing food, my soup, every night just before sunset, and she was like doing like 2 knocks on the box, and I was like, sometimes like, fuck no, I'm not getting up, like fuck it, like no, I don't need anything here, I don't need energy, I'm just gonna sleep. So, but at the same time, it gave me like some orientation of time, and actually want to elaborate on time a little bit, because actually time, I don't know if you've thought about that before, but you can literally feel what time of the day it is because the energy in the air feels different. It's weird, but that's what I realized. I mean, in the Vipassana, I was watching birds for hours. Like sometimes I was supposed to meditate in my room, and I was literally watching birds, and I could see that birds are way more active in the morning and then a little bit in the afternoon, and then they disappear. I don't know where to go. But so I could orientate myself by listening to what's happening outside, and also what I felt, what energy it was. I was like, oh, it feels like afternoonish, 5 p.m., or more like a Sunday morning hot chocolate type of energy. I don't know. It was really cool to kind of like tap into that feeling. And time is relative. It's not absolute, right? We know that. So it was really interesting to see how I experienced the time I was in there while I was sleeping. Boom, it was gone. Like honestly, almost 3 days were just like gone in a second. Like, I'm not kidding. And then the other days were kind of like very tiring, and I can tell you why. So what I learned from D.G. Grant, one of my mentors, is that as soon as you do something you really enjoy doing, your heart gets into a high frequency and your perception of time runs fast. That's why there's a saying, if you enjoy what you do, time is running. And it's really much the case. So when I was getting into this emotional phase, the time stopped. It literally stopped. Because I was facing my shit, and it was not really joyful, right? So that's what happened. And also how I experienced the time, these 5 nights, and how my family experienced it, or the facilitator, is so different. Like even the facilitator was like, you're the first one where I thought you just got in and now you're getting out. Like she was about to forget me. And I was a bit worried because she was a bit, she wasn't really sure when I was about to get out. It's like, I mean, otherwise I know, hopefully. And then at some point, I think on day 5 in the morning, I think I woke up at 3 a.m. It's like, okay, I'm ready to get out here. And it was like, yeah, probably waiting like another 3 hours until she really knocked on my door. Because I got out just before sunrise, so my eyes could easily adjust to the environment. The senses are heightened. As I said, like my smell was amazing, my taste was amazing, my hearing was amazing. Sometimes I thought there was a bee inside, or like some bees, or another mosquito, but it was literally just a fan. I could hear the fan so clearly because my hearing was so good. And of course, there was this constant battle of, at some point I was like, I feel like I'm hungry, I want to eat more. I mean, I also had some honey, and I was like, oh, should I ask for more honey? Should I ask for more food? And it was like, so basically, I forgot to tell you, there was like an emergency button. Really important news. There's an emergency button where you literally can call her if she's at home. I had to tell my mom. She was like, so is it really safe? Because what happens if you fall? Nothing. I'm dead. Like, I'm in the dark. No, I stay there. No, like, I was actually talking to the facilitator what to do, because if you install cameras in there, like infrared cameras, you don't really have privacy. And like, I also enjoy like walking around there naked, like you're back to nature, back to source. If you have to check in every night, you cannot really orientate yourself. Like you also, maybe you might be in a big process and that's disrupting it. You might not even know when to check in. So there's not really like the best solution, but yeah, there's this kind of like an option where you can literally push a button and like you can connect with the house phone. But he has to be at home, right? So that's what happened. On that day, I think it was on day 4, where I was like, should I ask for my food? And I was like, no, I don't want to talk. I'm not going to call. But yeah, so there was this constant battle of, should I like talk? And I know in some other retreats, like the facilitator always talk every night when they bring the food, but I didn't want that. I wanted my peace. I was like, no one else can give me the answers I want. No one else can feel the feelings I have. No one else can work on my shit but myself. So I don't need anyone. But yeah, it was this constant battle of, do you really like it? I mean, I could just turn on the lights, right? But I didn't do it. I could have just turned it on. I could have just walked out and in and like turn it on and out. Like, who would have known? But you don't want to trick yourself. You don't want to cheat on yourself, right? So, but I was there. I was so pissed about that same narrative that was running on repeat every day, every hour, every minute, kind of like some certain topics I haven't really figured out yet, or like certain narratives I was like, oh no, I'm done with that shit. Like, because the thing is, you have to think about, normally like a narrative is run and then your eyes look for evidence outside. However, if you cannot see anything outside, there's no proof. So you become aware that the narrative you're telling yourself is actually BS. It's full on bullshit. And then as you realize that, you can finally maybe stop it and change it. But it takes some time. And it was someone I was like pissed, like, again, I don't want to think about it, like stop, like I don't want it. So what I realized was, I was thinking about business, I was thinking about relationship, I was thinking about my career, about health, about myself, my body, my family, whatsoever. So my mind was not in the room. I was not in the present moment. It was somewhere outside, because my ego was literally holding on to certain things which literally didn't have anything to do with what I was doing or like, experiencing in that room. But it was a tougher process to really let go of that ego, because I was in the room to just be, and then my ego was somewhere outside. Like I was like, oh shit, like I should run, like, I should do that for my startup, I should this and that, and like it was going wild because it literally wanted to get me out. But I couldn't have done nothing in there, so no. So what happened was I became aware of my bullshit to finally stop it, or like to kind of like turn it down bit by bit. What else? The last phase, integration. So when I got out there, as I kind of spoiled it already, I got up at 3 a.m. I think, I don't know, it felt like it. But she was knocking on my door just before sunrise. I think it was at 6. And I was so excited. And I was like, so she did record it because I asked her. But I mean, as you can see in the Sky case, all these like super emotional videos. The facilitator didn't want that, because I actually get it. If you kind of set it up that way, it's all about social media. It's all about other people. It's all about, oh wow, like I'm getting out there, like what I'm gonna say, like, there's certain expectations, how you're supposed to feel, that you should be emotional, that you should be like the biggest insights ever. But this is not what the darkness is about. It's about you and whatever you experience in there. So I let her take a video, but just for myself. So I'm not gonna share it, because I just wanted to kind of take that picture memory of how I came out of the darkness into the light, because you can see it in my face. It's incredible. Like basically, like, there's certain things you cannot describe with words, and that's what my body expressed, that's what my eyes expressed. And I just wanted to have that, because maybe some of you know I do constant video journaling. So every time I kind of experience something which is tough or something which is beautiful, I record myself to see the emotions I experience, because then later on that helps me to process certain stuff better, because I can literally see the emotion. Like, it doesn't help me to just do the journaling, because words do not describe the emotions without having the sight of really seeing what you have felt. But that's for another one. It was amazing getting out there. I was stoned. I never smoked weed in my life, but I can imagine that's how it was. I was so stoned. I couldn't see, because literally my body had to learn again to adjust the balance through my eyes as well, because in the dark you don't have any sight, so you have to find the balance otherwise with other senses. But then being outside, I was actually kind of like super wobbly. I was dizzy. I couldn't see clearly, and I was like, wow, I got my eyes lasered. Like, you know, like I should clearly see. But this is normal. Like, your eyes have to adjust. And then I had some time for myself. I was, like getting some vitamin D for my skin. I was actually also taking a lot of supplements. So that's what's recommendable, like taking vitamin D, taking 5-HTP. I took some zinc and iron, and some minerals and a lot of salt afterwards, but that's for the fasting. So don't mess up with that shit. If you haven't done your research what your body really needs, don't do that. Like, you really have to do research. And that's one of the very reasons why I'm gonna start that fasting program, because I have so much expertise and so much knowledge from past mistakes, from what I've read, what studies I went through, and just the best lessons learned I could gather. Right? So yeah, in terms of integration, that's still going on. I do have a lot of vivid lucid dreams. I was actually lucid, which is quite cool. And these dreams, they revealed so much about stuff I can work on now. Crazy. Like, it's literally like I wake up in the morning, I'm writing down my dreams, and then this interpretation starts. Like, I had so many aha moments where I was like, oh wow, that's what that dream means. Like, seriously? That mind, it's crazy. Like, what the mind can come up to give you clues to understand yourself better. So that's happening, and all these insights I have, I'm busy implementing them. So even now, that video actually helps me to kind of like think through stuff again. I was sitting down to write all my notes for 2 hours actually, to really kind of process that stuff. So would I do it again? I could, but I don't have to. It's basically like going through a river twice. It's like I'm not the same person anymore. Like, not on a biological level, not on a physical level, not on a mental level, not on a spiritual level. I'm a different person. So maybe, let's see. Probably you're interested now, like what is really your takeaway? What am I really taking here with me? And as I always approach everything on a holistic level, I would like to kind of look at it from like a mind, body, and soul perspective. So on a mind level, it was basically for me all about detaching, of letting go of everything, like just being in there. There's like letting go of all the narratives, all these old programs, all these old attachments to stuff, expectations, like urges for belonging, for like validation, you name it. And then it was all about working on some childhood stuff. Obviously, that was on a mental level, but also on a body level in a way, because that's where that stuff is literally stored. So I could release it, and I feel so much lighter now. I've got so much more energy. Then in terms of a body, I literally upgraded my DNA. So that's the best rejuvenation practice I can recommend for now. And on the soul level, I got to know myself much more, who I really am, who I want to be, who I don't want to be. self-acceptance, confidence, and in particular trust, really trusting myself, trusting my instinct, trusting my intuitions, like what really feels good to me. So yeah, this is my like two cents here, like what I can take with me. And now, in case you feel like you really want to work on yourself, but you're not quite ready to do the darkness retreat, you're not quite ready to kind of like, do something on your own, you want some support, then I've got something really special for you, which is my Next Level Now program, where we literally go into your unconscious and I help you instantly to find your own limitations, to kind of like lift your issues instantly, because you're not going to scratch on the surface by doing like some, like talk therapy or like, like working with your conscious mind. No, because I'm telling you that you are aware of your problem. And if you would know exactly what it is, you would have changed it already. However, you act on it every day. You feel like that or that every day. So you know actually you know unconsciously what the problem is, but you simply cannot access it. So I can help you with that, to solve your issues. For example, like having inner restlessness, or relationship issues, weight issues, sleep problems. Or maybe you want to get rid of some limitations like procrastination, of money blockages, of your people pleaser mentality. Or maybe your problem has manifested in your body. So you struggle with autoimmune diseases, pain, back pain, PMS, you name it. It's like, or you know that there is like a certain event in the past, a breakup, whatever, like you really want to work on it because it's still like kind of like attached to you, and you like really feel like you want to let go, but you don't know how. I can help you instantly, and it's not painful. So the method I'm using is Rapid Transformational Therapy by Marissa Peer, and as I said, I'm such a blessed person that I could actually experience that training because it's so powerful. And if you feel like it, if that is a hell yes for you, that you really want to take that move, it literally takes one session and that problem is gone. Reach out. I've got some limited spots this month. Just like send me the discount word darkness and you get a 10% discount if you sign up. And I cannot wait to just help you. It's not about me at all. I'm just helping you to understand yourself better. So you are in full control, right? So now I've talked a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow my new podcast, which I named Being versus Doing, because this is who I am. Like, being in the business side, ex-strategy consultant, working in venture capital in the Silicon Valley, and now being in the mental health business, being into spirituality and like self-awareness and like mindfulness and consciousness. That's the balance. So I'm super excited to start that podcast, Being versus Doing. And leave your questions below, leave your comments below. I'm pretty much excited about what you say about that, like what questions you might have, and I will post all the relevant infos with certain links in the notes as well. And other than that, cheers.